everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Tom Worth Jr. Wanted to talk about some of the comments on the recent videos, for instance about Mike Johnson winning the speakership and about Trump having to appear for sentencing for his felony convictions, and also about Elon Musk. These are some videos I've done recently, and they're really not any different than the other videos I've done, over 100 of them now, going back to August, in the sense that what I try to do is I try to take things and look at them realistically. Look at them in I can't say in an unbiased way, because we all have biases. Clearly, you all know my biases. But to look at them in, I guess, an objective way, and try not to have blinders on. Now, when it comes to certain things, for instance, Donald Trump, I don't have blinders. I am just 100% opposed to him, personally, based on his lying, based on his lack of morals and ethics, and his criminal behavior in all aspects of life, in assaulting women, and in falsifying business records, and cheating at every aspect of life and business and politics. So that's a guy where objectively and in an unbiased way, I will 100% oppose him every time, because he stands for everything that I am against. So, but there are other things, like, for instance, Elon Musk, in my opinion, an infinitely more complex character. In some ways, just as bad, just as egregious, with the lying, with his relationships with women, with his lying about not just flat out lying, just making things up about people and events, but about what his companies are doing, with investor relations, with all kinds of things, just to put more money in his pocket. But unlike Trump, I think everything Trump does is to put more money in his pocket and to stay out of jail. Elon Musk doesn't have any fear of going to jail, and he is the world's richest person, and he's not motivated solely by putting more money in his pocket. He does like to do that, and that's what the shareholder approval or non-approval of Tesla's pay package for him has been all about for months now. But with him, he has bigger objectives as well, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to reach those objectives. And some of those things are good. Some of those things are beneficial to society, to civilization, and I think some of those things should be lauded, and he should get credit for doing some of those things. Unlike Donald Trump, I can't think of a single thing that Donald Trump should get any credit for, that he's ever done. Any good that has come out of anything he has ever done is purely incidental. It's not anything he should get any credit for. If he is lying and cheating and stealing, and something good happens to happen as a side effect of that, he doesn't get any credit for that. Whereas Elon Musk wants to have electric vehicles for all kinds of reasons. Many of them are good reasons. And I think when he lies, cheats, and steals to make that happen, it's terrible that he does that. But he is doing some of it in a push to make things happen, not only faster, but at all. The electric vehicle industry was nowhere without him. All we had was hybrids, and any purely electric thing just wasn't ever going to take off. So he had to build out his own charging network. He had to get his own battery technology lined up, supply chain. I mean, all of it. He had to make that happen, and he did. And I do give him credit for that, even though I think he is a despicable human being who has no problem harming the human race. I can compartmentalize those two facets of Elon Musk. And when I make videos about him, you can tell many of my viewers, you're not my viewers, many people who watch this channel, either in one video or multiple videos or all of the videos, don't see him that way. You're not compartmentalizing. You're not separating the good from the bad. You're not separating what he does from why he's doing it. And I don't blame you. And I think that's the way most of our brains work. And when I say anything positive about Elon Musk, I don't feel good about it. It's a kind of an icky feeling sometimes, but I do say what I think is true. And I did that with also the judge, Juan Merchan, who yesterday said he was going to haul Trump in for sentencing. And I love that. And I think that's the best he could do under the circumstances, given the actions of the Supreme Court with presidential immunity. And quite a few of you are not on board with that. And you think that's very unfair, and you think that's very unjust. Some of you have taken me to task just a smidge. That's fine. But the fact is that Merchan can't throw a president who's going to be inaugurated 10 days later, he can't throw him in jail. And he wouldn't have been able to do that during the election either. It's just not going to happen. Not with he wouldn't have done it anyway. But given what the Supreme Court did, when they came down and said the presidents have immunity for all these sweeping reasons and levels, and Merchan just cannot. His hands are tied, and he does not want Donald Trump to go unpunished. But the fact is, he cannot punish him. It's not possible. It's just not. But what he can do is remind everyone that Donald Trump is a convicted felon 34 times over, and remind them 10 days before he is inaugurated as the next president of the United States of America. And I love that, because with that comes great risk for this judge. With the promised retribution of Trump in all aspects of his life, that he is going to go after people and sic the Department of Justice on people, this is a huge risk that this judge is taking to do this, purely because he believes it's the right thing to do for America, for the rule of law, for our judicial system. And I just think that, no, it sucks that he's not going to be punished. And I'm not saying that the message to felons should be that you ought not to be punished. That's kind of ridiculous to take that from what my video last night said. It's not what I was saying at all. I'm saying, given the circumstances, this is the best we could hope for. And for me personally, it's better than I could have hoped for. I never would have expected to hear from Merchan again. I don't know. I just think if we can all look at things objectively, and it's very hard to do. It's hard. It's not easy. It's not fun. I saw another video of Yuval Noah Harari talking about meditation, and I guess it's something he's done for over 20 years. A lot of people swear by meditation, and it's just a clarifying thing with his mind. And he's spending an hour a day doing it for like 20 years or 22 years. And what it does, or what it doesn't do, it doesn't suddenly give him the answer for something. It doesn't suddenly have something pop into his brain in that moment that, oh my gosh, here's an epiphany for something. What it does is it allows him to gain some distance from himself and his perception of things to the actual thing that is happening, or the actual things that are happening. And rather than feeling like you're part of it, feeling maybe emotionally invested or clouded by your judgment or your feelings, if you can step back from it, it's like when we're reading about something happening in Ukraine, for instance, we feel like, I mean, obviously we're not there, and we can just read these facts. These soldiers were killed. These missiles were used. This ship was sunk, and all of these Russian sailors drowned. Um, those are objective facts. But when you are there, when you are in it, it would be hard to see or decide that, okay, Ukraine is defending their homeland and they sink this Russian flagship, the pride of the Russian fleet, and all of these Russian soldiers who are killed in that. Um, we can understand why Ukraine did that from a distance. They're protecting their country. But if you are Russian and you're right there, or you lost someone who was on that ship, guess who is going to be your most hated enemy now? It's going to be Ukraine. It's going to be Zelensky. So that distance is what meditation gives Harari in everything he looks at. And when you have that distance, when you have that objectivity, it just helps you analyze things better. So you can look at what's happening, you can make more connections, you can remove some connections that aren't really there, but in your brain they are because of your biases and your prejudices. I don't meditate. I've always been intrigued by it. I've tried paying attention to my breathing, sitting down on the floor in a dark place before and breathing in and out. It's not for me, but I don't doubt that it has great benefit to those who practice it, especially who practice it for as long and as consistently as so many people do. And that's why when you can write one book, like say, well, you can't actually. Most people they could spend their entire lives and not produce a work like *Sapiens* by Harari, let alone multiple works like that. And he is able to do that because he is able to read a lot of things and notice a lot of things and connect a lot of dots that most people aren't. And I think he does that through meditation. And the reason that he can do that is because he separates himself from it. So that's what I try to do on this channel. I try to separate myself from these things. I try to look at what's happening, try to see a bigger picture, try to connect some dots. That's why something like an immigrant crisis or a refugee crisis, when you just look at people as a group, which is all Donald Trump ever does, he demonizes groups of people because you can't demonize a single person, a single illegal even immigrant or refugee who is only trying to make a better life for themselves or their families. It's hard to demonize that person when you look at them and they have come across and they have nothing and they are risking everything, including their lives or the lives of their children or their spouses. And it all hinges on whether they get caught or not, whether it's that day or years down the road, but they're willing to do that for a better life. How are you going to demonize that person? You can't. But what you can do is take a person who's done a vile thing, like the New Orleans terrorist, and then link them to all immigrants or all border issue subjects. And that's what Donald Trump does. This is why you can't ever listen to him. This is why you can't ever get sucked in to what he's doing. He's taking a guy who had nothing to do with the border, who did a despicable act on his own, and then Donald Trump draws this connection for you that does not exist. And it fits your narrative. And it's easy and it's fun to believe that, yeah, that's the problem. And if we could just put up this wall, then we would never have a domestic terrorist act again. But that's not the case. People that commit these domestic terrorist acts are almost every single time here legally. And I just when you're demonizing entire groups of people, look at who is doing that. That person is the problem. The person demonizing entire groups of people. The groups of people are not the problem. You need to look at people as persons, not as groups. And I do believe that when we can objectively look at situations, look at facts, look at individual stories, that allows us to do that. And that's what I think we should all try to do. That's what I'm trying to do. And I do thank you all, and I appreciate all the comments. It lets me know what everyone's thinking, whether you agree with what I'm saying or not. I value it greatly, because you are individuals just like I am, and we're all trying to find a story and tell a story and live a story, and these are true stories, and I value you all a great deal, and I welcome your viewing and your comments, whatever they may be. Um, that's about it, and hope you all have a good day, and we will talk again tomorrow. See ya.